All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the live stream. Bow. The fucking live stream. I'm going to be honest, I just spilled my entire cup of coffee that I was racing around trying to get it done before I got on the live stream. All of that work just completely flushed down the shitter. Now, yes, Neil, do you submit questions here? This is exactly where you do it, in the YouTube chat. Welcome to the live stream Patreon people. Now, I'm not going to lie. What are we doing here? I'm trying to remember what we're doing. This is the live stream. It has been an incredibly busy past few days. A lot of you guys know that I do most of my work on the other side of the country. So it's a good 4 or 5 hour flight. And I'm there probably 2 or 3 times a month. And I just got back. And I don't know my face from my ass. And so here we are doing the live stream. This is what you get when you have 15,000 things that you got to do. And this is sort of a reality check. I probably wouldn't say it on the big podcast, but sometimes... I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I was just sending an email off to a production company. I mean, it's fucking hard as a cinematographer. Sometimes you'll be on, 4 or 5 different jobs and you're emailing people back and forth and you get confused. Shit happens and you forget that you promised to do certain things and send certain things in and you don't do it. And you're not always getting the A version depending on how busy it is and the type of project. And the reality is, these jobs set in and you get comfortable in the zone and you're doing commercials left and right. And pretty soon just something comes up where you're like, okay, not that you can phone in the pre-production, but I mean, I've got all the experience and the technical skills. I know I can get this job done. You guys aren't going to bring me on the scout anyway, on the director scout. You're going to flick me through a few images. I take 2 seconds to look at them. I send back feedback, and most of the times, some of the times they take it. A lot of the times the director will send that stuff after it's too late to change anything anyway. And then if you do start changing things, you're the producer's enemy. Okay, let me know if you can actually hear me, because I think I fixed, last week we had a problem. I think I fixed the issue of only coming out of one channel, but I don't know because I'm not listening to the thing. So in the comment section here, just leave a little... someone let me know that the sound is actually working because I'm looking at the chat here. Okay, thank you, Michael. Michael Wahab. Bah. Yes, okay. So, if I seem a little bit unorganized, that's just normal. But if I seem even more unorganized, it's because, like I said before, I, at the moment, don't know my ass from my face. Okay, let's do it. Here we go. We answered Neil's bit. Let's go into Blue Ford Delta. I'll be here. You goddamn right you're here. Eli Cooper. In terms of on-set experience, would you say it is more beneficial for a DP to work in camera department or in G&E? Now, if you were talking about on-set experience, I don't know why you would want on-set experience besides being a DP, if that's what you want to do. I think there's no 2 ways to sugarcoat it. If you want to work, I mean, even if you want to work in long-form narrative TV stuff, if you need the money and you need a job and you don't want to work at Baskin Robbins or fucking Chick-fil-A and you're going to shoot on the side as well, then I would say work in G&E. Camera is just, and not to knock the camera department because they do amazing stuff, but the really amazing first ACs, the generals of the departments, especially as you get onto bigger jobs, you see how important that position is to the smoothness of a shoot, and the smoothness equals the success of the shoot because they keep you moving, they keep you going forward, there's no problems, they take care of things before they hit a level where you have to actually interject. If you find someone that's good, then you can really be completely hands off of that. G&E, I think, would be better in that realm because you're able to have a lot more free time on set. You can take a look at what's going on, you get your hands on the actual shit that will separate your stuff later down the line. Will separate it from looking good versus bad. You can see the results. What does this look like? What does that look like? I want to know this diffusion. And you're not going to pick that up your first day, but if you do it for however many months, you're probably going to get savvy as to, wait a sec, this DP's a dipshit. I wouldn't do it like that. I would do it like this. I can see where he's gone wrong here or she's gone wrong there. So I would say G&E if you need a job. But if you're looking to move up in the world, I would say avoid both of those and just get out there and start shooting. So hopefully that helps. Eli. Okay, Christopher Roach. Let's do, I have a question about protecting highlights in low-key scenes where you will have something like a bare bulb practical in the background. Do you not worry about burning those out and just bring down the highlights in the grade, or do you ND to bring within range and just make sure you have enough? I mean, I don't know. Do you need to see the filament inside the bulb? That would be my question. If you need to see the filament inside the bulb, then you can do exactly as you outlined, Christopher. But okay, here we go. These Christmas lights in the background. And is this different on something like night exteriors where you can't necessarily ND all the street lights? Well, I guess it depends on what level of night exterior you're talking about. If you're talking about something that you see on TV, usually you have full control over all of those things, so you certainly can ND the localized areas, and not even ND them, but you set your exposure to that. That's the simplest thing to do, and then you augment around that exposure, because a lot of the times, especially with the new LED shitty ones for street lights, you'll be able to pick up some, especially at 800 ASA or 1280 ASA, you'll be able to get some level of exposure. The question is that too much for ambient, or is that not enough for ambient? But normally what people will do is they'll set their stop to whatever that ambient is, and then they'll augment to the level that they want with all the other lights. So if you're putting up a soft moon box, or you're putting up a hard moonlight in the background, those are the things you'll set to. So that's like, just like if you go into a location during the day and you see the windows, you're not gonna light everything inside to, you know, I don't know, to a T2, and then realize, well, fuck me, that thing in the background, that's a, you know, T64 back there, we're fucked. Then we're gonna have to change that window. No, you'd come in, you check the window level, you say you want the window, I don't know, 2.5 stops over, and then you work backwards from there. So you're taking the hardest element to change, and that's where you start from. So, and about blowing out the bulbs, depends on what camera you're shooting with. Like the Alexa, you just let it go. I wouldn't worry too much about it, especially unless for some reason, like I said, you really have to see that bit, or someone's crossing it and it looks really, really blown out. But the roll off on the Alexa stuff is so natural that, I mean, that's why people like it, because it's less work. And if you don't want to roll it off, I normally don't. I'll clip bulbs for sure, but generally what I'll do is I'll still dim them way down depending on how warm they actually get. Okay, Blue 4 Delta, Charlie Bravo. Love the big podcast this week. Rupert was great, and I'm excited for you and all of us with the level of talent you're getting on the podcast. The past has been great, and the future looks bright. Thank you very much. It is true. And while you say that you liked it, I did get a couple messages about people saying that they weren't that impressed with the episode because Rupert was so far along. But the hopes of this stuff, and I think I make this quite clear in this week's podcast with Colin Watkinson, is that you're taking these little bits of information from everyone and taking the little ideas and pushing them into towards your own shit. I know that I'm doing it. When I'm talking to Rupert, I'm going, fuck me. How can I glean as much information from this dude as possible? Like, he's been through some shit. He did a $170 million movie that's an experience. Well, what did he learn? Is he still got people chasing him back? Because I'm in that zone now where it's like, okay, do you stay here? And when I say stay here, I mean in the position of just doing commercials. And, just try and move up that way by trying to get that commercial that has that look where you can be exploratory and then use that to get the next job and promote that way. Or do you say, fuck it, I'm going to shoot some shitty, not shitty as in the quality of the story, but I'm going to push that feature game to try and then pivot. Because, and I can't remember, I've been talking about this so much and my brain is fried. I can't remember if I've talked about this on this live stream or in the podcast, but I was having an off podcast chat with one of the guests, because the good part about this stuff is when we were in Los Angeles is you get a lot of time with these people before you're recording and after you're recording, where you can sit down and have an honest chat. And I wish I could share that stuff, those moments, because even in person, it's really hard to let your guard down and to be real and to say, you know what, man, this year I'm getting fucked. This year I'm not getting any jobs. This year is the first year for a long time that, I'm losing jobs. And in chatting with people and hearing their stories, what from the outside, and especially on Instagram or on their website, it can look like, oh, I've got these things going and it's all uphill. When in reality, man, sometimes very experienced people you'd be surprised about, and I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus by mentioning names, but the shit is hard for everybody. And some people were open and honest with that in the podcast, and some people, just got that shell of constantly working, still going. But even if you're high level, you don't get a job, or you finish a job and then you're like, what's next? Where am I going? Oh, nobody wants me. Nobody wants to call me. And then hearing it from older people saying, I don't know, I'm 50 and I missed my window to do that little indie feature. So now I became the super high end commercial guy, but now nobody's paying $8,000 a day for cinematographers anymore. So do I half the rate and get thrown back into doing the toothpaste ads, or do I just wait around for those glossy ads to come calling and do a job every 2 months? It's an interesting situation. I don't know how I fucking got started on that, by the way. Okay. Thank you. As a film student, people always ask me to help out in either G&E or camera. Oh yeah, if you're helping people, I would say G&E. G&E is way more fun too. It's like you can actually, because the cinematographer doesn't have enough time, Eli, to go around and be fucking with things all the time on lower budget stuff. You're actually like a participant. If you're sitting there doing the clapper loader thing, get out of here. Get out of here. Are you using an anamorphic lens on your live streams? Michael Wapa. Yeah. One of the benefits of owning gear. And I'll tell you what. Well, I won't tell you. I won't tell you. Thanks, Neil. When shooting outside and you're racing against the sun to get a certain look, do you ever need to prep with your director-producer, mainly in regards of how fast and efficient you work? Do you ever need to prep with your director-producer? What are you talking about there, Neil? Because yes, you're always, those are the people that you're prepping with. Even on the most last minute of commercial jobs, you'll go on a tech scout with everybody, all the heads of department. Even no matter how small the shoot is, really, if it's really something very, very tiny, at least you'll go out with the director and the producer and be like, hey, we got to watch out for this and this and this. And then we've talked about that before, where you say those pitfalls. This is how I work. This is the kind of shots that we're going to get. And then they say, well, that's not what we want. And then you say, well, it's going to turn out looking like shit, but that's your choice. And if you're getting paid, you say, I see you on Monday. And if you're not getting paid, you say, go fuck yourself. Okay. Christopher, awesome. Thanks, man. I love this. Peter Chapman, I love this week's episode too. Good. I'm happy that you liked it, because we've got more and more of that stuff to come. And we got some, some up and coming people. We got some real young people. There was a couple of people that came into the studio. And I was like, holy fuck. Are we interviewing your dad? Where's the person? Yeah, there's some young kids doing really good stuff, which sort of makes it sort of is nice to see. And it's also like, what am I doing? What the fuck am I doing with my life? So there was that realization. Okay, Eddie, did people actually complain? Yeah, they did. You'd be surprised at the amount of fucking complaints I get, which is weird because you don't have to listen. Spill the beans. No. Yeah, that answers it. Okay, cool. There's no other questions. Let's get into this week's. This is Chad Leto. I don't know if you guys saw in the Patreon little drop-down menu there for this episode. You can see the spec ad that we're looking at. Again, if you're following along with these spec ads, you'll start to notice a system. And that system is one person, one activity at sunset or sunrise. That's pretty much seems to be the go. And these are the type of spec ads, when we get into it, that you're really, again, the whole point of this is, I don't know, are you really going to show this to people, and people are going to shop this around and say, this is the DP I want to bring on, look at this ad that he shot? Yeah, I don't know if you're going for that, but you are going for, can I take this spec ad, say it was an ad, have it on the website, and then take 10 seconds from it? And I think, Chad, the answer is yes. If you are in the chat, go ahead and leave any information about the shoot, because we're going to be looking at the Converse one here. If we switch over to the other screen, this is the one we're going to be looking at. Why is this so big? Let's go ahead and close this down so we can see the window. It doesn't get any smaller, does it? Nope. Genius. Okay, Chad's in the chat. Beautiful thing, Chad. You want to tell us about the shoot, what you did, how long it was, the days? There we go. Okay, so this is a Red Scarlet Canon C300 2 cams, only running for the driving shots, and Leica R primes. Okay, and estimated amount of cash spent, Chad? Can we get a cash expenditure? Is it your camera? Did you borrow the camera? Who's it from? Okay, while we're getting that important information from chat, I'm just going to flick through the look here so you guys can see what we're going to be checking out. Oops. Does that one do it? Nope. Nope. Come on, man. This is literally every single week. I forget how to tab in Instagram. I mean, in Photoshop. There we go. Okay, so this is what we're going to be looking at. We got some stuff here that looks pretty good. We got some other stuff too. Mainly, I just grabbed the frames that we have something quick to talk about. As I said before, I didn't have tons and tons of... We spent a solid $0. That's the spirit, Chad. This is how you start to trick the system. Okay, let's look at this one. Yes, I don't want to paint that. We'll add a layer. I got my pencil back, but if you notice some shenanigans, I got this little fucking travel thing because for some reason my big one shit itself. So I'm gonna be a little bit all over the place with the painting, but let's get into it. Okay, whoops, don't want to do that. I've somehow lost. Just make this bigger, like this. And we go like this, and then we're gonna make it yellow, like this. Okay, everybody's ready now. We're almost going to run into the same issues that we ran into, or the same challenges that we ran into last week's breakdown. In that sunset, awesome for colors, makes things easier, makes the shadows softer, makes the contrast lesser, which as the sun gets that overhead, overcast sort of giant softbox look, things are a little bit easier to manage. What you're still fighting for is, again, that shape. But there's a lot of good things in here that a talented colorist would make look significantly better. And I'll just try and point out, and I'm not trying to shit on Chad. I like this stuff. But this is about trying to give it just that little bit more polish. This is a fucking good snap right here. You got something good. This is definitely included in the 10 seconds of your reel here. I would say the thing that we're fighting against is that flatness, right? Because flatness isn't fun. That should be on the fucking back of the Wandering DP t-shirt. Flatness is not fun. And there's no, what are you going to do here in this situation? You could be on $1 million advertisement for Lexus. You're not going to be able to fight this flatness. Like, there's nothing you can do. You're not going to put up a fucking 400-mile neg fill here. This is the time, you've picked the right time to be out here, right? You got sort of screwed by the sky. There's not a whole lot of interest back in this zone. So you sort of got hosed there. But this is where, and my computer is going to shit itself. This is where you take this little bit here, out here, and you just darken the shit out of it. And you take this little bit here, and you darken the shit out of it. And then you mask over this dude, and he rides through. And then you take this road, and you increase the contrast so that this yellow stands out, and so the blacks get darker. And I've drawn over the entire image because that's what this needs. You did your job. You got good exposure. You kept the sky. You kept the ground. Everything is good. I'm just going to try. I'm just going to try anyway, even though I can hear the fans whirring already, because I think this was the end of the ad. Remind me if I'm wrong. But we've already seen this. Like, there's only one dude in the ad. We've seen him fucking multiple times. It doesn't have to be super. I mean, we've seen the dude. So it doesn't have to be super great. Let's invert that. Come back here. Blow this one up. Even more like that. What am I doing here? Like this. Why isn't that painting? I got this on. Invert, paint, on layer. Anybody want to tell me why this is not working? What is going on? Why isn't it connected? Oh, fuck yeah. Smart. Genius, Peter. Told you I was feeling the pain today. Too smart. Thank you, Peter. Fucking eraser tool. Let's make this bigger. Oh, God. Let's go bigger. Come on. Now we went too big. Perfect. Can't fake the funk on a nasty dunk. Like this. Ta-da-ta-da-ta-da-ta-da. Da-da-da-da. And then you blur, filter, blur, Gaussian, 26, 27, back it off. Okay, because you want, I mean, the road is the interesting bit here, wiggling through, and again, forgive my crude skills, but you probably want to even go darker than that. Go darker than that, then erase your boy from this thing. Like this, track him through, and you're giving them, why isn't he getting rid of it? There he is. You're giving them, you know, you're doing it later. And this is what I would be adding to the director. Hey, dipshit, don't forget to do this bit, because right now this is what we're fighting. This is what we don't want. We don't want this flatness in here. So again, just think about it when you're doing these things. That is what you're fighting against, is the flatness. Is there any way, and that's the sort of theme that we're going to be going through for this entire thing. Fight the flatness. Okay, let's go to the next one. These are in no particular order. Let's try this one. Okay, this one, good. Again, I would say that what I would do differently if I was there would be, I don't really like looking down at people. I don't like looking down at people. It is kind of a cool composition, though. It's cool because you got, come over here, add a layer. It's cool because you've got that line going through. You got this thing in the background, which is kind of nice. It does go straight into his nose, which is a little bit strange, but good shape on him. You've exposed for that skin. But, you know, if we're going for that light to dark to light to dark, here we've just got a big chunk of one level. You know, we just got one zone. If we go over to the histogram, this is just that, right? This little chunk here, and then this is probably that bit. So I would say if you come down a little bit and you got a little bit of sky in there, that's where, if you start to notice the things that I like, there is those variances. There's that crunch, and as you get into the more polished end of things, you'll start to recognize that more and more. Very rarely is there just a tone across the whole thing. It's that little spike of interest, and maybe, you know, where you don't want people to look, there still is spikes of interest, but it's less amount. So there may be a little light bulb in the background, or there may be a little, just a highlight in the background somewhere, something pinging somewhere. And then at that same level is the part where they want you to look, and that will be more of the screen. No, I mean, I don't know. I would just have to fucking play around with the camera. I think it just looks a little bit weird that's going straight into his nose. That's the first thing I saw. I was like, fuck, what's that line coming out of his nose? But then again, I'm a weirdo. So I'd probably, but I don't, again, I prefer to look up at people rather than, and just slightly up at them rather than looking down at them. But that's a personal thing. You know, you may love the nose look. But if you come down a little bit and judging, you know, not knowing how big that hill is in the background, let's go into here. You know, if you could just, I imagine it's not that tall because the sun is hitting him. So if you just come down a little bit, then you get that little spot of brightness in the background, which just then makes this seem even more popped out, you know, because you have that light to dark to light to dark. So I think good composition, maybe just a slightly different angle because it's quite flat. I don't know if this may be, because if you were doing that 10-second reel thing, you almost have to have, you know, one of the dynamic parts about a reel is going in tight, out wide, in tight, out wide. And, you know, having that medium shot, if you're doing a 3-shot sequence, you got to go from bike ride to dude looking off into the distance to mid shot of him doing something else. So, okay, we'll be in there, come back here, do this one. Even this one, like if this over here, oops. If this over here and this over here was this density, even that color, I think we'd be more in the zone, right? It feels just out of place in terms of brightness. Okay, let's go to this shot. This one I like. I would do the exact same thing that I mentioned before. Like, this is the important bit of the shot, right? This is the important bit of the shot. This is like, I don't know, I really like this sky level. I'd say you're in a perfect sort of sunsetty sky level. This, I just bring it down. Bring it down. Like, bring down those levels on those hills. Not looking at anything else except the hills. Because especially if you're starting this out in the commercial like this, you want them to be riding for a long time. So you don't want to go too crazy on the sky. But this, you bring this one down, because that's just killing you. Because it's kind of the same shade as him. He's got his little helmet there. It's kind of the same thing. You know what I mean? So I would say, but again, as a DP, it's like, this is the shot. Yeah, this is what it looks like. I've done the best that I can. I've put us out here at the right time. I've got the right angle. Maybe, and this is just being nitpicky, maybe I switch to the other side of the road. But then you lose that little gap back there. So I see what you're doing. But good stuff. This is one that I would leave off of the 10-second reel. Only because it's strange. It's day. He's got his headlight on. I see what we're going for here. The shadow coming across the thing. I just don't like the background. I mean, it's cool that he's coming out of this thing, but I don't know. Again, that's just me. It's one of the things I'm looking at. I see this shot in the mix, and I say, I don't like that one as much. But who knows? Maybe you're playing around with time. You're forced to shoot that way. There's something behind you, some reason that you can't shoot the other direction. I don't know. I would say it's just so lit up back there, and then he's lit up, and then you got this light thing on here. What is cool is that shadow across the ground is cool, but really we're looking for that contrast difference, and this is what you don't get when you shoot front lit. You don't get any difference because it's all just same tone across the image, and then you got the headlight on. So I would say that one sort of stood out. This one is cool. This one is great. But again, if we were there, and you can sort of see where the sunlight in his reflector, it's a cool shot. I like this thing in the background, and you would know better as to why you chose this particular angle. It's not that it's a good angle. It's just good. It's good composition of the shot. You got the light. Basically, if you could imagine if this dude had eyeballs outside here and he had his little nose here, that the sun would be coming from this direction, cast a nice little shadow. You can see that here in his helmet. That's a very photorealistic nose on him, that it would be cool. And you got the little light bulbs here. Those are going good. Everything is good in that department. But we're accentuating the flatness by shooting this direction. You know what I mean? We're not helping ourselves in any way, because this hill is basically getting as much level as, let's erase some shit. We'll leave his eyeballs. This hill is basically getting the same amount of level as this side of his face. So we're not really differentiating at all. Whereas you couldn't really do this because he would have a reflective shield. You couldn't really bounce anything into him. But if you go this way, turn him a little bit that way, have the road coming down his other shoulder. I don't know what you're shooting into, but just say it's another hill. That hill would be darker because you'd be facing into that light more. And you just have that sun, we're talking about, what would it be like? Maybe 30 degrees this way. And then you wrap around 30 degrees with him. You keep the same profile, the same composition. It looks pretty fucking good. That's not to say this would probably be in my 10 seconds from this ad. This would be one of my 3 sequences. So you'd have that big wide. I liked, which one was that? That one, with a little more polish on the grade. This one, again, nice composition. It's cool. You got these things. You got all your grounds taken care of. So not in terms of lighting, but in composition. You got your foreground here. You got your nice middle ground shot. It's nice fall off in the background. And then you got your cool background element. Like, that's nice. This little thing sticking out is nice. Again, it's only that the color is the color is the same. So you get that color flatness. We don't have much color contrast here, except for this little bit. It's popping out that sort of matches his helmet. But you're also getting light contrast, no difference in light contrast. So you're getting, that's sort of where we're in trouble here. And then but you're going to find that in any magic hour situation. That's what you're always going to be fighting, is that sameness, which we've talked about multiple times. Okay, then we've got this tunnel shot. You got a few different ones in this tunnel. This is by far my favorite because we've already seen him a bunch of times in the commercial, and then we're super close to him in the tunnel. This is the best one. This is a fucking killer composition, and you got it at the right time. Whoever's doing the edit, put it in, as in put this shot in at the right time, because he's just shy of that. Fuck me. He's just shy of that opening, whereas if he was covering up the opening, it wouldn't be as cool. You're getting that nice, cool shadow. You got this little pop of red, and this is where we start to see the points of interest and the density. This is proper density. We've got black over here. These things, you know, you may be able to go slightly darker, but this is cool. This is a fucking good shot. And again, this would probably be in my 3. That would probably be the 3. And you're traveling down, and the lights are passing by. You're getting that light to dark to light to dark to light to dark all the time. There's nothing really boring in here. You know, this thing is cool. You're even at a pretty good height, because you've got, you know, even though you don't have a Russian arm, you've set yourself up for a pretty good height here, because that comes down to, you know, roughly that horizon line. Looks cool. And then you got these little shapes here. This is a good shot, Chad. This is something not to sleep on, that one. And then I think that's it. I think that's all we did. Whoops. Those are the ones I would pick from there. And the other ones that I didn't look at from the ad, they sort of all were in that world of, you know, if we're looking for the best shots to add to the reel, those are them. Those are those 3, because of the factors that we talked about. The other ones all have something like them. That medium shot in the tunnel where he's riding along, it's just, it feels a little bit cramped, and a little bit out of place, like you didn't have a Russian arm. Because if you felt like if you had a Russian arm and you could position him wherever you wanted to, that's the fucking hardest part about the car stuff and vehicle to vehicle. When you got so many people involved and you got the driver there, and you're just like, man, if we would have been 5 feet further, we'd have a fucking killer shot there. But everybody's sleeping on the job because we don't have the fucking headsets or whatever it is. But that was good. I liked it. Job well done. So, yeah. Okay. Questions? Any other questions, Chad? Yeah, we had the ghetto Russian arm. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's why this one. Where is it? Come on, man. We were just here. This one is good. Like, you've managed to get him in the right spot position-wise. Even if you had the arm, you wouldn't really come down much more, you know. But you would come down on that. I wish I would have taken a screenshot of that medium shot. You know, that tunnel shot that I'm talking about? Because like when we had Paul Myers on the show and he's talking about the speed and making it feel dramatic, that's why you want to get it closer to the ground and like feel the wheels, and I don't know, it just felt a little bit, it's so stabilized that it feels like a little bit strange. Okay, Blue 4 Delta. Do you have any advice for learning more on the color grading side, podcast, books, YouTube, for those of us that have an idea of where we want to be but don't know how to get there yet? I'm trying to think of the easiest. I mean, there's really no easy way to get good at it. And I think the hard part, and probably not to say that you don't know what you're asking, but the interesting bit about that question is it's really hard to know where you want to go if you can't do it. At least in my mind, I couldn't imagine knowing exactly what I wanted without being able to do it. Oh shit, battery, fuck me. Hey, it's a good day. I saved it. That's the hard part. But you learn that. You learn how much you can push it by playing around. And yeah, you can do it in Resolve. You can certainly do it in Resolve. And it's free. But then you're talking about computing power. You're talking about learning all of the things like tracking stuff in. I don't know if that's necessary for a cinematographer. Those are the things that are very unique to moving images. I think easier just to do it in Photoshop and to get comfortable learning to see, okay, how much can I push this without looking like shit? Where do I want people to look? How do I use what vague tools do I have? And don't get, because you can be very painterly in, depending on the cash you have, you're looking at something like The Revenant, you can paint the whole movie. You can be super Photoshop specific and paint every single frame. You can have 800 people in some den in, downtown LA painting those things for you. But you have to have the ability to then pick those things out. And I don't think you can get that just by looking at other people's stuff. I think you really have to get in there. So there's no real easy way to do it. To formulate that eye. If you wanna do Resolve for your own projects, like I say, there's no specific things that I think, you take this course and you're pretty much good to go. I'm the type of person that learns just by, give me 4 or 5 clips, let me take them in there, let me screw them up, whatever way I do it in Photoshop. I didn't know Photoshop before I knew Resolve. Tricky question. I would say just get in there and just keep fucking it up until it starts looking better. And what I would do, and what I used to do, is I would take a frame grab, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I understand that there's different file formats from the internet versus what you'd see in a movie theater versus what you see in Rec 709 on TV. Go download whatever thing that you like, whoever cinematographer stuff that you like. Download that, put it inside of Resolve, take your image that you thought looked somewhat in that world or that you want to get in that world, and just look at the image, side by side it, and go, well, this is actually way darker than I thought it was, or this is way brighter than I thought it was, or my skin tones are way off from his skin tones, or their skin tones, or her skin tones, whatever it is. And then you go, fuck me, this is not the same. And I had this idea that it was the same. That's the way I would do it. So I wouldn't rely on other people showing me how to do it. I would just get in there because they're going to have their own little systems, just like I do. I do things in Resolve completely differently. You sit in with a proper colorist who does it every single day, and I'm doing things completely fucking backwards. Everybody's got their own little style. Okay, Michael, how do you shoot this type of stuff without a Russian arm or even a gimbal? Yeah. How do you shoot this stuff without a gimbal or a Russian arm? Michael. Oh, this is Jeff. Hello, Jeff. There are so many ways to approach car shoots. You could go handheld, rent a minivan. Yes, renting a minivan. That was how we did that whole UWA ad. That whole UWA ad with the woman running around the world. The only thing that we needed in every single location was a minivan with doors on either side. That was the whole brief. That was the one piece of equipment we could not do without. We could have fucking almost shot it without a camera as long as we had the minivan with 2 doors out the side. It's amazing what you can get away with. Okay, Ash, hey, on this topic, will you be doing a follow-up to the grading side of things? I know we did color correction, but the one I'm super curious about is actually creating a look. Creating a look. As in deciding what you want to do, or as in the physical processes of going through node by node? Is that what you're talking about, Ash? Yeah, well, I mean, you follow Jeff. I'm speaking to you specifically, and other people inquiring about this stuff. You look at Andre Stringer. Anybody follow him on Instagram? The guy is out there by himself. Him and his little buddy shooting on a minivan, and the stuff that they get is they have a lot of time. Well, it looks like, at least from the Instagram. I don't know, I'm not conversing with Andre, but they're out there shooting this stuff by themselves at the perfect time. They're strapping it to the side of a van with like a little hostess tray and doing some crazy shit. And they're just looking for those 12 frames. They're looking for those, even 36 frames that are just going to make something look good. Yeah, if anybody's looking for a director to follow who does some amazing shit. I mean, I have seen, in the amount of references that I've seen, I've probably seen, 15 treatments this month. The amount of people that reference, I forget if it's an LL Bean commercial. It's one of Andre Stringer's commercials where the camera is just always moving forward. The entire ad It's moving forward, and you can sit there and watch it with people that don't know anything about camera, and you just feel like, yeah, it's paced so well, the commercial. There's just that feeling of things are moving and shaking. The camera just always subtly moving forward, and it's amazing the effect that you can get. And that's sort of him. The Tin Cup ad Andre Stringer did. Get the fuck out of here. It's gold. So, okay. The process, this is from Ash. The process that comes after color correction, the creative look side of things. You want to do a tutorial on that? Did I say I was going to do that? Yeah. I'm trying to think how I could do that effectively, because that one is, I mean, even though it is a completely solo endeavor, there's so many ways that you would go about doing that in an actual bay. So I guess I could do it by myself. I could just say I'm going to come up with a look, but it's all about that feedback between the director and the colorist, finding a look. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could do it. I don't know, finding the look, like the. Okay. Maybe I'll give it a go. Maybe have you got something? I'm just thinking of ways to challenge myself so I wouldn't fall asleep at the wheel. Have you got something that you want to see? Like a project in mind? That might be more fun. Is if you give me something and then I go, yeah, we can do that. We can get that. Because just off the top of my head, especially shooting, not knowing how to shoot in that direction, because you'd have to have it locked in before you started shooting. But I could show you some little tricks, especially with the node tree. Like if you're going to be doing even a 60-second commercial, if you're doing 45 shots in 60 seconds, there are certain ways that you want to set up the node tree just to make it easy to go back, because you will go through, and I'm talking more on the commercial side of things, as in commercial coloring side of things, you're going to go back and revisit that shot 15 times. The director's going to have their say, then you're going to bring in the agency or the producer. The producer's going to look at it and go, guys, you're out of your fucking mind. This is never going to get over with the client. Change this. And then the director's going to go, wow, let's just change it a little bit, and then we'll go back to it in the other version. So you're sitting there in this thing. You're going to be revisiting these shots 15 times, so you're going to want the node structure easily legible. So we probably do something like that. Okay, let's do Eddie, download some LUTs. Okay. Neil, who are your favorite commercial directors? Jeff Yeats? Who's in? No, we got Seb Edwards would probably be the person. Seb does lots of cool stuff. Douglas Avery does lots of cool stuff. Michael Spiccia does lots of cool stuff. Who else does cool stuff that I like? Come on, there's hundreds of people. I just am blanking on their names right now. I'm just what's the Dutch guy? Algren Martin something. Is he Dutch or Belgian? Lots of good Belgian people for some reason. The Belgians are strong in that department. There's Jones and Tino. There's Norman Bates. Those kind of people. Okay, let's do one more here, and then we're gonna call it quits because I got to get on a conference call and pretend that I looked at the treatment. Okay, here we go. Can you name a set of anamorphic? Yeah, Martin Datura. Thank you, Jeff. Am I available next Wednesday for a recce? Yes. This is the kind of shit. 1 sec. Yep. Okay. Can you name a set of anamorphics that would work well for a run and gun situation? I'm trying to avoid a set that is a pain, matte boxes, and follow focuses. Yeah, good luck. Good luck getting an anamorphic set like that. I think probably the easiest ones are going to be the master anamorphics. You probably don't have the budget for that if you were talking about a run and gun situation. Master anamorphics great because there's no external focusing. They're all the same front. They're relatively small for anamorphics. The Cooke ones are a little bit larger. Again, they're going to be probably the same price. You're talking about old stuff. The Kowas they're a pain in the ass in terms of the look of the things. I'm not a real big Kowa fan, but at least they have the same diameter front. You can, a lot of the times you can just screw on NDs, which makes it easy. You're still gonna have to fuck with the follow focus a little bit, but it's not like the Hawks where the whole milk bottle goes in and out and does the accordion thing, and you got to have that extra long focus wheel. So I'd probably say the Kowas, just because they're light and small, even though there's just a hint of ass. Cooks again. I guess it depends on your price range that you're talking about. Anamorphics. Any of the Panavision stuff is going to be a little bit bulky. What don't I like about the Kowa? I just don't like the way that especially the wide lens, the 40, which some people turn into the 30, it's like the K35s. K35s you can find awesome sets. Also K35s you can find a set that looks like someone took a shit on it, and the mechanics are all off, and you open up to wide open, and the whole image just completely shifts. You have no idea where you're gonna get. If you get a Kowa set from like a local rental house, back when they were 30 grand, now they're 100 grand. People would just buy them and they wouldn't service them. They wouldn't go, well, fuck, these things haven't been shot with in 25 years because no one wanted to touch them because the image looks like shit. They wouldn't service them. They would just give them to you. And you get there on the day and you're in some foreign country and you go, okay, well, we can't use this lens at all. It's completely out of the equation. So let's use the 75 or whatever it is in the Kowa set. The streaks, the filters, the flares, I don't quite like as much. I don't know. There's just something about the way that they do blue, because they do a lot of blue. There's just something about the blue I don't like. It's not to say I wouldn't use them. All right, if you get some like the Mirroscope Rehouse ones, they're super easy to work with. They're just my least favorite of all the anamorphics. I would choose, I'm trying to think of an anamorphic I would choose less than the Kowas. I don't know. That's it. Okay. So tell us what you use. Damn it. Okay. What you use for what? For the anamorphic set that I would use for running gun, I'd probably use the Kowas. If we're talking about small stuff, if we're talking about you got a budget, I'd use the Master Anamorphics or the Cooks. Something that had a unique, a front, what do they call it? Not a unique front, a standard front size, so it's easy for the matte box, and something that didn't trombone in and out. That's what I would use. Your options are very limited for that. What do I use for the live stream? As in what this lens is? Is that what you're talking about? I'm all lost, man. Okay. That is going to do it for the live stream, ladies and gentlemen. Next week on the podcast, if you have questions, please, I had to delete a whole bunch of the people that left voice messages. I had to delete a whole bunch because I'm on this 20 messages a month limit, or 20 messages in my inbox limit, because I haven't paid for the usage of this thing. So it's like the trial mode. So if you did try to send a message, I know that some people try to send in voice messages. It's fun. If you have anything to promote, this is what I'm thinking for the Patreon people. There are a shit ton of people that listen to the podcast who are looking for work. So if you got anything you want to promote, you call in, and we use this as a tool to promote your own shit. So hopefully people check you out and you get jobs from it. That's what I'm saying. For this live stream, this is a 50 millimeter Lomo anamorphic. Right now, you can see how far away I am. I'm probably 6 feet, and I have a half diopter on there, which is a crystal white from Schneider. We're at T4, shooting on the Alexa. This is 640 ISO. This thing is at 10%. Anyway, okay. That's going to do it, ladies and gents. Thanks so much. We'll see you, hopefully more organized, hopefully a bit more up-tempo in the next episode. I'm going to go and fake through this treatment. Talk about No Country for Old Men and how we're going to do it like Tree of Life. Okay, that's it. We'll see you in the next one. Many thanks, ladies and gents. Fuck it. That button didn't work. It's one of those days. One of those days. Start screen, end screen. That's it. Whoops. Oh, come on. There we go. Ba-da-ba-da.